So I want to talk about the calendar and the 23rd being the 14th and 15th, and Joshua saying that the 14th and 15th will pass, 16th and 17th will be the rapture, and that's the words of Jesus to Joshua. So here we have the rapture, which is parallel to the bridegroom taking his bride. We have the Jewish wedding traditions right here. You can pause the video and read it, and this is how Jesus fulfills all of these. And here in number 5, the groom comes suddenly, often at night, with a shout and a trumpet sound, and takes his bride. Similar to the rapture, the Lord will descend with a shout, with the trumpet of God. And we know a lot of the parallels with the bridegroom and the bride from the parable of the 10 virgins, and the other one is the parable of the wedding banquet. So I just want to mention in Joshua's testimony, every time he relays a message from Jesus, he says, or he then says. So the Feast of Trumpets was never part of Jesus' message, but I think it was mentioned by Joshua because it was from his own understanding. Next, we have the bridegroom cannot take his bride during high holy days. So in Jewish wedding tradition, including that of Galilee, it is generally not allowed to hold a wedding ceremony or for a groom to take his bride on the major appointed days, such as Passover, or Feast of Trumpets, or Feast of Tabernacles, or any of the appointed times. And it's also not permitted to get married or for the groom to take, in the sense of the final wedding procession and the start of living together, his bride during Shabbat. So the bridegroom cannot take his bride during the appointed times or Shabbat. These were explained by a sister her name is Sister Angela, and she told me that the 23rd aligns perfectly with Shabbat, and Shabbat happens Friday night until Saturday evening, or Friday evening until Saturday evening. You can look it up. And also Brother Brian Jenkins talked about how the Galilean weddings can't happen during high holy days such as Passover or Feast of Trumpets. I think he talked about this in his TikTok video a couple of weeks ago. So that explains why the 14th and 15th will pass, 16th and 17th will be the rapture. That's why Jesus told Joshua these words. 14th is on a Friday, and 15th is on a Saturday. And here we know in Shabbat in Israel begins at sunset on Friday and ends at nightfall, around 1 hour after sunset on Saturday. So that explains why it's not gonna happen on the 23rd of September. But so just for conclusion, for the Jewish wedding traditions, Jesus, the bridegroom, is coming for his bride. The rapture is a parallel to the bridegroom taking his bride. We know this from the parable of the 10 virgins, parable of the wedding banquet, and the marriage supper of the Lamb. And the bridegroom cannot take his bride during God's appointed feasts, and the bridegroom cannot take his bride during Shabbat or a Sabbath day. And Jesus, the King of the Jews, honors the Jewish wedding traditions. And September 23rd is on November 14th and 15th of the Gregorian during Shabbat. And 16th and 17th will be the rapture, third day following the 23rd. We know that Jesus of Nazareth is the King of the Jews, and 16th and 17th of November is a very high watch date.